Hi, my name is Josh, and this is my TED Talk. Stop. Stop what you're doing right now and ask yourself, what are you thinking about? According to research, about half of you watching this video right now are thinking about something other than what's right in front of you. In other words, you're sitting at your computer, looking at a screen, while your mind is somewhere else entirely. About 10 years ago, two Harvard research professors conducted an experiment with the objective of finding what makes people more or less happy in their day-to-day lives. Students recorded what they were currently doing from a list of 22 activities and how happy they were feeling while doing that activity. They were also asked whether they were thinking about what they were currently doing or something else that was pleasant, neutral, or unpleasant. From the data they recorded, they estimated that humans spend nearly half of their waking hours thinking about something other than what's right in front of them. But more importantly, they found that the simple action of thinking about something other than what's in front of you can actually decrease your happiness. If you're thinking about La La Land, for example, the movie, you will likely return to reality with disappointment. And if you're dreading the presentation you have next week, you will return to the present moment ridden with anxiety. In either case, it's fair to say that this isn't a great recipe for happiness. Now, you might be saying, wait. We need this ability to daydream. Without being able to think outside of our reality, all great things in this world wouldn't exist. And I agree. Take Steve Jobs as an example. He saw the world in 1980 and equally clearly saw a world where his product is in the hand of nearly every person in society. Sometimes we do our best work when we let our minds run free. In fact, it was by allowing my mind to run free one day that I decided to do a triathlon. What a great challenge, I thought. You know those moments where you feel like you can do anything and there's nothing anybody can do to stop you? That was this moment. When I was a kid, my mother put me into swim lessons and it did not last very long. A few years later, there was a swimming race at our local pool. And as I sized up the competition for the race, my success was looking promising. Most of the people I was set to race were younger than me or seemed to lack the athleticism that I had at a young age. Piece of cake, I muttered to myself. Swimming just like any other activity. But as the whistle blew and we hit the water, it all came back to me. I am a terrible swimmer. As I thrashed my arms around the water, I could imagine the faces of those watching. The race quickly became a race for survival in getting to the other side of the pool. And by the end of it, I was humiliated. Once I got out of that pool, I never got back in. Swim team, swimming for fun, swimming to explore, I was against all of it. And it was because I was scared. Fast forward to a couple months ago, when I was getting ready to swim my first lap in preparation for my triathlon. I was overwhelmed with anxiety just from submerging myself in the water. It terrified me that I couldn't touch the bottom of the pool, and I would have done anything not to let go of the edge. I pulled myself back out of the water. This is not going to work, I thought to myself. What were you thinking? All I could feel was a blanket of fear. No detail, no reasoning, just cold, paralyzing fear. When you're afraid, you're not just uncomfortable while you're facing your fear, but merely thinking about that fear causes an uncontrollable and overwhelming reaction. It's basically your brain telling you to GTFO ASAP. Get out of that situation because you are in danger. That's what a state of overwhelm looks like. But then I remembered that I have a tool for getting myself out of situations like this. Those situations where the mind is firing off thoughts faster than you can comprehend them. As I sat at the edge of the pool with my feet in the water, I inhaled and then exhaled. As I continued to breathe deeply over a few minutes, my thoughts didn't seem to be coming so fast anymore. I remembered the reason I wanted to do this in the first place. I remembered that nothing worth having in this life comes without discomfort. By the second and third day of sitting at the edge of this pool, the childhood memories that I just described to you flooded into my consciousness. Piece by piece, it all started to make sense why I was having such a visceral reaction to the water. The first day, I was gasping for air at each length of the pool. The second day was a little better. And day by day, I convinced myself that I could survive in the water. Then I convinced myself that I could feel safe in the water and secure. And eventually, that I could thrive in the water. Think back to a point in your own life experience where you were paralyzed with fear or anxiety, a time when your mind and body went into panic mode and there was absolutely nothing you can do about it. Well, let me tell you, there is something you can do about it. As we live our lives, we're constantly having a conversation with ourselves in the form of thoughts. It's a conversation that we can't really control. Our brain is constantly firing thoughts into consciousness, and these thoughts are the ones that shape our reality. Our identity becomes intertwined with the thoughts that appear in our head, and we begin to feel a sense of ownership over our thoughts. We begin to feel like ourself is equal to what appears in consciousness, what we're thinking essentially. And as thoughts continue to pop into our head, they dictate the internal states that we feel. If your thoughts are angry, you become angry. If your thoughts are sad, you become sad. Let me paint a picture for you. You just rolled out of bed and barely made it to your 8 a.m. lecture. But as you walk into the classroom, you notice a student ahead of you holding a manila folder. A thought pops into your head. The midterm paper is due today, and I totally forgot. Your heart skips a beat, and that's to say that you react in a frantic way. This is a natural and automatic reaction because you realize you've made a mistake. Your heart rate increases, blood pressure increases, and because of this, in turn, these physiological state changes color the next thought that pops into your head. In other words, your heart rate and blood pressure increasing causes you to think more anxious thoughts. This is what a lot of us know as panic attacks. And it's a vicious cycle of your physiological state change and also more anxious thinking. But there is a tool that breaks this timeline at its root, and that tool is awareness. By practicing mindfulness, the practice of watching your thoughts, you will slowly start to identify the space between who you are as a person and the thoughts that pop into your head. We don't have full control over our thoughts. They just occur. Realizing this key lesson strips thoughts of their influence over us. It no longer feels like we're in a conversation with ourselves because our thoughts aren't part of our identity. If we revisit the classroom example, we can see that this student's reaction leaves him stressed, defeated, and in a state of overwhelm. Did he choose to have a panic attack? No way. But his reaction to that initial thought causes a domino effect that ultimately leads to overwhelm. By practicing meditation, we can break the cycle. We can begin to see how letting the mind go into autopilot often amplifies the negativity of any given experience. Negative experiences are unavoidable. They're out of our control, and they occur when we least expect it. But how we react to these negative experiences is up to us. Mindfulness is the muscle in which we use to control our thoughts, and meditation is the exercise which strengthens this muscle. This year, I started my journey into self-awareness, and it has brought me so much clarity and confidence in my life. As a chronic overthinker, I've resorted to many activities to try and distract myself from feeling the stress that my mind constantly imposes on me. But in the end, that's all it was, a distraction. Discovering meditation as a tool for controlling my self-talk has not only allowed me to gain insights about myself, but more importantly, has allowed me to catch myself before I talk myself into a state of panic. I want to spend the rest of my time at LMU to create a space on campus for students who are interested in the benefits of mindfulness for personal and professional life. It took a lot of initiative outside of school for me to find and reach resources so that I could learn more about how to meditate and the potential benefits of meditation. I don't want other students to run into the same struggles. Mindfulness can help everyone live a more happy and intentional life, no matter what challenges you face. And most importantly, the more we practice this action of catching ourselves in thought, the earlier we can stop our minds from spiraling out of control when something goes wrong. The more we can maintain our confident sense of identity when we face our fears, and the more we can stay in the present moment, which is where happiness is most easy to find. Thank you very much.